Alright, welcome to yet again sunny Spain and yet again another Kawasaki. In all seriousness, we got here yesterday morning. We spent all afternoon spanking these around the Spanish hills and it was actually sunny. I'd love to tell you that the combination of Kawasaki and Spain gets a bit repetitive and boring, but that would be a lie. We had an absolute blast of a time. Order of the day today is this Z900RS Cafe, and it's quite an interesting bike because a while ago I went to Spain yet again with Kawasaki to ride the regular Z900RS, so the naked version of this, and where the regular Z900RS, unlike the name would suggest, is very different from the naked sporty Z900 that Kawasaki also sells. This is essentially a regular Z900RS with some slight bodywork changes, a different handlebars and a different saddle. So the differences are in the fairing on the front. The regular Z900RS has no fairing at all, it's completely naked. It has a slightly different handlebars which is angled backwards slightly. It has a different saddle for a slightly more forward seating position, and it of course has this Eddie Lawson inspired, absolutely fantastic lime green paint job, which looks way better in person than it will on camera. It's a very cool looking bike. And what is perhaps interesting about this bike is that technically it's no different than the regular Z900RS. So it shares the same engine, it's got the same wheels with a slightly different finish on them, it has the same suspension, it's got the same setup of the engine, everything else is exactly the same. So the question is it naive to look at this as a different bike, or is it essentially the same thing? Well, one of the main differences is of course the fairing and the handlebars, and they translate to a slightly different seating position and more importantly a very different riding experience. So to start with the seating position, you'd think that given the sort of the cafe racer style of this bike, it'd be quite forward on the wrists and be quite a tough seating position. That is absolutely not the case. It definitely looks like a cafe racer, but it doesn't have clip-ons. It's a regular style bar, and you're slightly more forwards than the regular Z900RS, but the differences are not that big. It has a very comfortable saddle, and with the wind protection that you get from the fairing, this is definitely a bike that you could do quite a lot of miles within a day and get off a little bit less tired than you would on a regular RS perhaps, simply from the wind resistance. But when you start looking at it in use, despite the fact that it's technically the same bike, the user experience is very different. So this is a bike that will just about crack 200. I cracked 200 yesterday. After 180, the acceleration really does slow down, but it will do 200. And that's something that we didn't do on the regular RS. That is of course because of the wind protection. So where the regular RS is happy until about 120, 140, this thing is quite easy to push way beyond that. And as a result, you notice the limitations of the bike a bit more, which you wouldn't on the regular Z900RS. So once you take it over that 150, 160 mark, you notice the suspension becomes a little bit uncertain. It becomes a little bit, tends to dart around a little bit. It's not quite as stable as you have it under that speed, but otherwise it's the same bike. And I think that if you are using this bike as an everyday bike to get to work, to go to the shops, it's perhaps a more viable option because you do get that wind protection. Otherwise, this bike is all about the details. I mean, it has an awesome paintwork. Definitely have a look at my regular Z900RS video to go a bit more into the details. It's got a lot of, it's an homage to the Z1. A lot of sort of styling details that reflect back on that. The logos, the cooling fins on the block that are not functional but give it that modern classic look. Something else I didn't pick up on last time but I've noticed this time is the dials on the Speedo and the tacho. Just like with the regular Z900RS, the axles and the needles and the font mimic the ones on the Z1. But also if you look very closely at the way the dials are machined, they kind of have these circles in them that make it look like an old LP, and the details are just absolutely stunning. I really like this bike. In terms of riding experiences, it still has that same warm, same really nice and friendly character that the regular Z900RS has. So we spent all afternoon spanking these things around the Spanish hills. It was beautiful weather. We did stupid miles an hour on them. And I think kind of the fact that it gets a little bit of a wiggle, that becomes a little bit unstable when you really start pushing it, kind of adds to the character. I don't want to say it makes it a better bike, but perhaps it adds something to the general feel and the general personality of the bike. So we had an absolute blast of a time doing that, even though things did get a little bit edgy sometimes. So far, really good impression of this cafe version. It's been an awesome day yesterday. We are here all weekend with Kawasaki. We're actually staying at the same hotel as a bunch of superbike teams, which might give you a little bit of an idea of what else we'll be doing. But so far, it's been a very, very fun weekend. We've got 3 more days to go. It's a long weekend. So yeah, make sure to watch this space, and there should be some very cool content coming soon. But so far so good regarding this wonderful cat.